No names in this story are real. For some context before the story, I, 38F, cook Asian foods regularly for dinner and for my daughter, Lily's, 7F, lunches at school. This is because my family enjoys these foods, I like to cook these foods, and my mom cooked a bunch of these foods growing up since she's half Japanese. Oftentimes I'll either give my daughter some leftovers from last night's dinner, plus a fruit, veggie and a snack, or I'll make her a quick little bento box or some other thing really quick. So, after school one day, my daughter wanted to play on the playground for a bit before we went home. I said she could play for a few minutes, and she ran off to play. I was waiting next to this other parent, who we'll call Debra. While I was waiting, Debra came up to me. "Debra? Are you Lily's mother?" "Me? Oh, yeah, I am, why?" "Debra? Well, your daughter's lunches have been bothering my son, and I would like to ask you to pack something else." "Me? What? How are they bothering him?" She then proceeded to start talking about how her son was complaining about my daughter's lunches smelling terrible and that he thought it was disgusting. She also said her son didn't eat most of his lunch because he was so grossed out. "Me? Okay. I understand your son doesn't like the smell, but can't he just sit somewhere else?" "Debra? Are you kidding me? My son shouldn't have to put up with whatever crap you make your daughter bring to this school. It's disgusting." And she started making more vaguely idiot complaints, but I was fed up at this point. "Me? Listen, I understand your son might not like my daughter's food, but he can very easily just not sit next to her. I'm not changing what's in my daughter's lunches because you and your kid don't want to exist near Asian food. Go to hell." She angrily stomped off with her kid then, and my daughter finished playing soon after, so we went home. I talked to my husband about it, and he said that maybe I shouldn't have told her to go to hell to avoid her bothering us in the future. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It was the nicest thing you could have said to her. I would also make a point of emailing the school or speaking to the teacher to request a boy not be put anywhere near her daughter because of his mother's idiot request. Not the idiot, you were right to blow up on her. Though I will admit your husband could have a point, as it is a possibility this is not the end of this conflict. If your child brings up anything about the other lady's kid bullying her or anything, act on it quickly. Not the idiot. That woman 100% earned this. We need to start telling more people to go to hell when they think that they should be able to tailor their experience of the world by controlling what other people are doing. I am a mother to a 20-year-old daughter. She is a junior in college and attends school in the same city where we live. My daughter and two of her friends live in a condominium that I own. Her friends pay below market rent while my daughter does not. The condo was inherited from my parents, and it was their intent that I would pass ownership of it to my daughter when she is mature enough to own her own place. My daughter, husband, and I are in agreement that she will take over ownership of the condo when she is out of school and financially independent. Earlier this week, my daughter mentioned that she had run out of some household supplies and would have to set aside time to go shopping before the end of the week. My daughter's schedule has been especially rough lately as she has picked up extra shifts at her part-time job due to short staffing. Wanting to be helpful, I offered to pick up the supplies for her and drop them off at her place. She accepted. The next day, I picked up the supplies and took them to the condo. I knew my daughter was in class, so I knocked and, when no one answered, let myself in. The front door opens into the living room. When I entered, I found one of my daughter's roommates being intimate with a man on the living room couch. I was obviously mortified, so I left the supplies at the door and left right away. I didn't say anything to my daughter about what happened because I didn't want to put her in an uncomfortable position, but I did let her know that I had dropped off the supplies. On Friday, I got an angry email from the roommate's parents. I'm not sure exactly what they were told, but their email lambasted me for invading their daughter's privacy. They said that what I did was wrong because I'm their daughter's landlord and I entered the condo without giving 24-hour notice. They're threatening to take legal action if I do it again. I am vaguely familiar with this requirement but didn't think it was applicable here. Was I the idiot in this situation? I feel bad about what happened, but I also don't feel like I was out of line. P.S. My daughter was aware that I was coming to drop off the supplies and asked that I leave them in the kitchen, which is adjacent to the living room. I am not asking for judgment on whether I violated the law. I checked in with a friend who is a lawyer, and he thinks that, because my daughter gave explicit permission to enter the home and drop off the supplies, I'm in the clear. I am asking whether I was the idiot for doing so. Update. I called and texted my daughter asking to discuss the situation. She can't speak to me right now because her roommates are fighting and she's mediating, but she is aware of the situation and sent me a quick explanation. My daughter had notified all the roommates that I was coming over, but roommate 1 apparently forgot. The man she was with was roommate 2's boyfriend. She freaked out and contacted her parents because she was scared I would spill the beans. I still don't know exactly what she told her parents, but I assume it wasn't the full story. I have never met roommate 2's boyfriend, so I didn't know it was him. Roommate 1 and roommate 2 are fighting now and, needless to say, roommate 1 will be moving out. I will be writing a more comprehensive formal lease for roommate 2 for both my protection and hers, but, in all honesty, roommate 2 is wonderful and I do not anticipate that there will be any problems. Not the idiot. You were not entering in your capacity as landlord, but in your capacity as your daughter's mother, in which case you do not need to provide notice. You also had your daughter's permission. The roommate had no expectation of privacy vis-a-vis her roommates who could have walked in at any time, regardless of whether they had a class scheduled or not. She shouldn't have been doing it on the couch out in the open. Lol, the roommate was having intimate in the common area of a condo she shares with 2 other people. Hard to imagine a real expectation of privacy there, especially with the front door opening right onto where they were, and I wonder what she told her parents. Technically yes, a landlord has to give notice, but the owner's daughter, her roommate, gave permission for you to drop off the supplies. Not the idiot in this instance, and I think you handled it well. You would think she would have appreciated your discretion and learned to have private time in a private setting, her bedroom, but her actions involving her parents say otherwise. No one wants to walk in and see that. She needs to be more considerate of her roommates, and you definitely shouldn't let yourself in again. Not the idiot. People who live with roommates should know not to get busy in shared spaces. This isn't legal advice, but any laws regarding restrictions on landlords entering leased premises wouldn't apply to you when you weren't acting as a landlord, but rather as an invited guest of a tenant. Do the roommate's parents think you have to give 24-hour notice if you visit your daughter? And why are this person's parents contacting you anyway? My husband and I have been together for 4 years. I have 2 kids, 17M and 19F. And their half-brother is 3 years old. This past week, my husband had an emergency, Dad had a medical emergency, and wanted someone to watch our son. He asked my older son and he refused because he was going out with friends. He also asked my daughter, but she locked herself in her room to study. I was at the restaurant with my brother meeting his girlfriend for the first time. My husband ended up taking our son with him to the hospital, and his mom watched him from there. He came home and was lashing out at everybody, calling us selfish and unfeeling. I tried to explain that the kids were busy, but he told me to go to hell because my older son could have skipped the hangout and watched his brother, and my daughter could have watched her brother while studying instead of locking herself in her room. He scolded me as well, but I told him I couldn't leave lunch with my brother since he was visiting town, and this was my only chance to meet his girlfriend. He yelled some more and then told us that he was canceling the family holiday trip for Christmas this year. The 2 older kids were upset and said it was unfair. I called him unreasonable to cancel the trip and punish the kids, and possibly me, like that. He refused to discuss it later. Now I and the kids aren't speaking to him, and he's saying good riddance. P.S. My husband was supposed to watch our son at the time. That's why I went to see my brother at the restaurant. The kids aren't used to watching their brother when neither parent is home. Update. My husband just told us that he'll be spending Christmas with his family, saying he needs to be around his dad anyway. The kids said they will just go to their dad since they and my husband are still not talking. Neither of the kids is happy with how things turned out. So I feel like things have gotten out of hand and the problem got bigger. He's now choosing to basically abandon us on Christmas and also keep our son away from me and his siblings. You're the idiot. Your husband cancelled your holiday trip because your kids, you are unreasonable. He just found out that you couldn't care less about him or his family. You're the idiot. Medical emergency is more important than hanging out. Medical emergency is more important than studying. Medical emergency is more important than lunch munchies. You're the idiot. When there's a family emergency, you drop everything to help. Meeting your brother's girlfriend for the first time is not a valid excuse not to go watch the 3-year-old. I mean, what the hell? Clearly, you put your husband very low on your list of priorities. I don't blame him for canceling, you guys don't deserve it.